Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. We've got you covered. Traditional leagues, Dynasty League, PPR League, IDP League, even Daily Fantasy Football League. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Emmet Wyman, coming in on here for a Tuesday episode. Oh, my God. I mean, what a week in the NFL. I don't even... Where do I start? What team do I rip first? I mean, do we rip the Giants, the Jets, my Cowboys, the Bears for freaking... Oh, my God. Let's start with the Bears. Let's everybody give a round of applause to Coach Matt Nagy. How many freaking years were you going to start Mitch Trubisky? And it finally happened. After 3 years and a month in terms of, if we're talking season. He played 3 entire seasons and then this 3-game stretch, or 2.5 games, and that's it. His career's over. He won't ever be a freaking starting quarterback again. And I'm sorry, Mitch, but you had your shot and you ain't performed. And we've all been seeing it and saying it that you aren't a good quarterback. Okay? And listen, give Matt Nagy a lot of credit, guys. All right? Give Matt Nagy a lot of credit. He came and he has some balls. He had some balls, man. I mean, you're going to need some if you want to make some big-time decisions to win you a game when you're down. All right, he saw a team that was basically reeling. Atlanta Falcons, I mean, I'll get into the Falcons after this because what a joke of a team they are. But, I mean, Atlanta Falcons were literally about to win the game. You're 26-10. You're sitting there in the middle of the third. And Matt Nagy, I mean, there's no play on that 2-page play sheet that he has. I mean, he went up and down that entire play sheet, every single play. For 2 years, he hasn't been there. He wasn't there Mitch's rookie year. He got handed Mitch, which, I mean, that's why I really do like him as a coach. I mean, you got handed Mitch, and you really tried to make the best out of it. But he was reeling. I mean, I think he really sensed the pulse in his team that just, hey, we're not there right now, and we're going to lose these guys. And he put in his relief pitcher, his Mariano Rivera, Nick Foles, coming right off the bench. Now, I didn't give this as my lock of the week. But I had the Falcons. Okay, I had the Falcons, and I didn't love it because the Falcons suck. Okay, Kayvon, I'm sorry, but I was like, listen, they're at home, season's on the line. I talked about that on I don't know if you guys saw the Twitter. Really trying to get some posts out. Hopefully you guys like the clips. If you've been seeing those clips I've been posting on Twitter, just trying to really give you guys a peek of what we've been talking about on these shows. I know some of you guys, you're really not into listening to the entire show. I don't blame you. It's 80 minutes. It's a long show. All right, if you do listen to the show, I really do appreciate it. All right, if you're one of the few listeners, listen, I appreciate it big time. Okay, that doesn't help just me. It helps everybody at the network gain views, gain attraction. But at the same time, I mean, look, I'm going to be posting these clips when I go on my buddy Kayvon's show, and then I'll try to post some clips from this show, on the social media at GSMC_FFootball. But anyway, back to the point I was saying. I said, look, season's on the line. Falcons got to win this game or else they're just going to be lame ducks for the rest of the season. And that's what they are. They're going to be lame ducks. And, I mean, you could say their defense is bad. I mean, their defense was locking down Mitch pretty well. But then we went back to the Falcons defense. They went back to the Falcons defense that they always are. What is Coach Herm Edwards? I know he stole it from what's his name, Dennis Green, the late and great Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. I mean, the Falcons are who we thought they were, and that's just a lame duck team. Okay, this team. Look, Matty Ice is a great quarterback. All right, probably a Hall of Famer. Julio Jones is a Hall of Fame receiver. Calvin Ridley's a top 5 receiver. I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Calvin Ridley might be a top 5 receiver in the league right now. All right, that's saying a lot. Okay, you have 3 first-round picks on the offensive line. You have Hayden Hurst, who was a first-round pick. I mean, even though he wasn't that good. Defense, you have a couple edge rushers that could rush. You got Grady Jarrett. But the problem with the Falcons is, sure, their talent isn't adequate, meaning the guys rank 20 to 40 on the roster, because that's really what matters. Your 1 through 20 could be stellar, which is what I think the Falcons are. I mean, they do have some really good studs. But your 20 through 40, your bulk of the roster, that ain't good. All right? That ain't good. But the real problem with the Falcons, the real problem is, number one, it's clear as freaking daylight. They have no confidence in Dan Quinn. Okay, that team has no confidence. Like, this has been ingrained in their brains. All right, you can call me crazy, but since Dan Quinn has been the head coach, let's look at his tenure. 2015, he started off his career, or his head coaching stint, as 5-0, I think. 5 or 6-0. He won all right out the gate. He was winning games left and right. The team went on like a 2-7 streak their next 9 games and missed the playoffs. They totally collapsed. Next season, 2016, they go all the way to the Super Bowl, and then the Super Bowl collapsed. 2017, they should have beat the Eagles. They went all the way. It was an up-and-down season, but they went all the way to the playoffs. Granted, the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but they had that game in the bag. Next year, 2018, just an up-and-down mediocre season. Last season, 2019, they started off like 1-7, then 1 down the stretch. And then here we are. I mean, the Falcons, they are who we thought they were. I mean, they are who we thought they were. They're not changing. This has been ingrained in their brains. And I think some of these players, when they saw Nick Foles come in, I bet you some of those players go, "Oh my God, it's over." They gave up and they're up by 2 touchdowns. It's pathetic. Like, Arthur Blank, you can't be. How long do you sit there and just look at this crap? I mean, I feel bad for Arthur. I mean, he's probably left with more questions than answers. I mean, and I think the guy he was really banking on answering a lot of his questions, Tommy D. I mean, Tommy D, he's taking a lot of heat too. I mean, you saw him when they put that shot at him at the Cowboy game, man. He was a little socially distanced. that man stayed 10 feet away from Arthur Blank. He ain't want to answer no questions. But I mean, listen, that team just has absolutely no confidence. I don't think they're any way going to do anything with Dan Quinn. And to be honest with you, from a fantasy perspective, I don't like any of their players anymore. Matty Ice, I mean, look, I'll take Matty Ice because I think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Julio, I'll take when he's healthy. Ridley, of course, I'll take. But Gurley, Hurst, all those guys, forget about it. Russell Gage, forget about it. Okay, I don't want nothing to do with them. And to be honest with you, I just don't see these guys being consistent, which is what you need. You really need consistent players. But look, I mean, look, Kayvon, I love you, bro. All right, I'll be on his show again Saturday. Please follow GSMC_football. He's over there running the social media for that page. He does a great show. He has a lot of guests on his show, talking a lot of variety topics, football related. So he'll have me on for fantasy and just to talk ball in general. But I mean, still, it's great talk, great chop up. But Kayvon, again, bro. Your Falcons ain't good. I'm sorry. Your Falcons ain't good. But let's move on from the Falcons. Let's just talk about how bad. I mean, what's worse than the Falcons? There's about 3 teams. How about we talk about the Eagles? The Eagles! Oh, my God. I mean, did you guys see EDP? All right. If you guys don't know EDP, you need to look him up on YouTube. But, I mean, he took away all his Eagles gear. It's over. He even gave up on the team. He gave up on the team. What does that say? He's been riding with that team through all those years. All right? I mean, they had the Chip Kelly era. He stuck with the team through that. He gave up on the team. He threw all his gear out. He's gone. So listen, if he's giving up on that team, what the heck are the players and the fans doing? I mean, my God, what a sorry team. What a sorry team. I mean, you tied with the Cincinnati Bengals. You tied with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's probably a win for the Bengals. That's probably a win. I mean, for the Eagles, you guys are walking. I mean, all those players are walking around like they're still Super Bowl champs. Like, that's old, guys. That's 3 years ago. Okay, the Kansas City Chiefs are the Super Bowl champs, not the Eagles. All right, so Eagles, I think that's just a huge part of their mentality. I remember Orlando Scandrick. I know some of you guys don't like when I reference him, but listen, he went on that show on First Take and said, or not First Take, I just say First Take because it's with that idiot Skip Bayless. But, I mean, he went on that show and basically said they got selfish guys in that locker room. That locker room was still on cloud nine for that Super Bowl. That entire organization still has that Super Bowl high in them. I mean, that's over. That's really over. They're so overrated. I mean, they're more overrated than the Falcons. That team, I mean, look at their drafts. I mean, Howie Roseman, I remember everybody in the Super Bowl, oh man, Howie Roseman, executive of the year, best executive in football. He's so smart. His analytic approach is so advanced, blah, blah, blah. Howie Roseman, these last 3 drafts have been freaking horrible. Go look at the drafts. Even the 2016 draft was horrible. Aside from Carson, I mean, even Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz ain't good. And could we please stop, guys? I mean, there was this debate before the season that Dak versus Wentz. That's not even. I mean, are you kidding me? Why don't we do Wentz versus Daniel Jones? Wentz versus Dwayne Haskins. That's what he's in. Okay, don't even compare Wentz to Dak anymore. He's not even close. Not even close. All right. So stop that nonsense. But anyway, back to the Eagles. I mean, the way they managed that game, this is what really makes me think that they're a sorry team. The way they managed that game in overtime. Doug Peterson didn't even bother trying to kick. They just said, screw it. Didn't your guy make like a 60-yard kick the year you won the Super Bowl? The same kicker made the same kick the year you won the Super Bowl? They didn't even bother to do it. The coach has no confidence in the team. The coach has no confidence in that team. They're sorry. That team is sorry. Every fantasy player on the Eagles cut. Every single one of them cut. Cut any running back. Even Sanders. Try to trade him. Just get rid of him. Wentz sucks. Sanders is blah. I mean, he'll get numbers because he's going to get the ball rushing and receiving. But all those receivers, I dropped Rager. I dropped everybody. I mean, their offense is so bad. Carson Wentz is so freaking overrated. My God, we could just stop with that nonsense. I mean, just what an embarrassment. And then before we get into, I want to get in. I'm rambling. I didn't even break down a schedule. What I got for you guys today, you're going to love. Next segment, we're going to elaborate a little bit more on these teams and do some power rankings. Next segment after that, we'll get into my studs and duds. I know that's going to be a weekly segment on the show. We want to do studs and duds for fantasy. And then in the final segment, we'll do the waiver wire pickups, which is probably what you guys are looking for. But, I mean, now with what we know, I think we can know some things about this team. We're not judging. I mean, there's teams that we know what they are. All right, we know what they are. I mean, we're 3 games in. Some of them we could just write off. Some of them we could be like, okay, this is a Super Bowl contender. So it's still early, but, I mean, my God. I mean, some of these teams are just pathetic. And then before we get into the break, actually, let's get into the break because I don't want to spoil. I want to really just rip some of these teams more. We'll give out power rankings. I'm not going to do 1 through 32, and I'm sure you guys already know who 31, 32 is, but I'm not going to do 1 through 32. I'm just going to do top 5 and bottom 5 just to save a little bit of time before we get into the studs and duds. But let's take a break because I really want to give you guys a lot of information, a lot of funny content coming up, and then we'll be right back with some top 5, bottom 5.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We're going to get into some power rankings. We've got a lot of teams to get through, so let's not waste any time. Number one, I think this is pretty clear and evident. I'm going to go Seattle Seahawks. I mean, if you guys watched the game yesterday, I didn't really break down the Cowboys game, but look, I mean, were we surprised at all with what we saw from the Cowboys? Were we surprised? We expected them to give up a lot on defense. All right, I know a lot of fans are saying, oh, the defense is horrible. It's the worst of all time. Bring Earl Thomas in there. Bring this guy. I mean, listen. Guys, did you see the game last week? Did you see what DK Metcalf did to Stephon Gilmore, who was wasn't he the defensive MVP of the year? He ran right by him, made him look like a chump. All right, did we expect the Cowboys to do anything better? Do we expect the Cowboys to come in there and hold the Seahawks to 24 points? No. Hell no. So why, this makes no sense to me. Everybody's freaking out about how bad Dallas is. I don't think they did anything that we didn't expect. I mean, the only thing that I wish they had back was the stupid mental errors. Obviously, the safety, Zeke. Yes, I mean it was Pollard's fault that they had the safety for bringing that ball out. I don't know why he did that. You had the safety. You had the Dak interception before halftime. You had the fumble coming out of the halftime on the first play of the second half, and that really killed you. I mean, you can't go to Seattle and turn the ball over. I mean, listen. I know there's no 12th man, but Russell Wilson is playing in his backyard. That's what it looked like last night. Okay, he looked like he was playing in his backyard. All right, that ball to Lockett was a beauty. That second one to Metcalf, that was one of the most prettiest deep passes I've ever seen. That was just I don't know it was like not a golf ball or like a baseball swing. It was just a perfect rainbow, right into his lap. And then obviously DK Metcalf pointed to Sean Jackson. What a funny play, but. Listen, Seattle, I mean, as long as Russell's playing like this, nobody's going to beat him. So they're number one. Number two, call me crazy, I'm probably going to go with the Steelers. I think the Steelers are playing complete football. Their defense is really good. Big Ben is playing like Big Ben. And if he gets going combined with that defense, I mean, the Steelers, we know what they can do. They can win the Super Bowl. They've proved that twice. When Big Ben gets a good defense, he can win a Super Bowl. So I think they're definitely earning of a top 5 spot. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I mean, look, the Chiefs are the defending champs. They haven't lost. What is there not to like? So I got to go with KC. Number 4, I'm going to probably have to go with Green Bay as much as it kills me to hear this. I mean, they're 3-0. That performance last night versus Saints, I mean, that was a really good performance. But, I mean, Janoris Jenkins is horrible. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was just picking on him all night. I mean, the Saints, they don't get it. I mean, you can't just have Marshawn Lattimore. All right? You can't just have Marshawn Lattimore. You need multiple good corners. All right? Multiple. Because anytime if there's one bad corner on the field, the quarterback's just going to pick on him every single play. Okay? That's all they did. When the Rodgers needed a big play, he was just going to go to whoever was on Janoris Jenkins. All right? So then Alan Lazard's coming out of the woodworks having 200 yards looking like a 2008 Deshaun Jackson. I mean, it's ridiculous. But, I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers is playing really, really well. I mean, obviously, drafting Jordan Love is probably a motivation to this. But, I mean, what a game and what a performance. So we'll give Green Bay a spot in the top 10. And then number 5, we're going to go Baltimore. And listen, Baltimore, they're still the number 1 team. Their talent is still immense. And I expect them to just be a hard opponent for anybody except for maybe those teams in the top 5. So that's all I got for the top 5. Now, you guys got to hear this bottom 5 because these teams are just a freaking joke. 27, I got to go Atlanta. I mean, Kayvon, you're not going to want to hear this, but Atlanta, you guys ain't good. Like, this team is not good. This team is lame duck. All right, they got a dead man at head coach. That team ain't good. Maybe their players are, but the team ain't good. So 27, we're going to go Atlanta. 28, I got to go the Redskins. I mean, my God. I mean, if there's one stat I give out about the Redskins, I don't care who the opponent is, just play the opposite defense, okay? And you guys, you know why now, okay? I think you know why. Dwayne Haskins, after this game, I think Ron Rivera and Dan Snyder really got to look at each other like, you know, I don't know if this is our guy. I mean, I'm sure when Ron accepted the job, I think Dan really pushed, you know, hey, let's give Dwayne a lot of opportunities. I want you to coach him hard. Let's make sure this kid is on top of everything, and let's try to get this kid to be the face of our franchise, you know, and try to turn things around here. But I mean, seriously, I don't think he can handle that. I just don't think he handles that. I mean, when he makes one mistake, it's a meltdown. There's no resiliency in him whatsoever. Okay, I mean, not to pump my own guy up, but Dak Prescott, he's the total opposite of that. When he makes a mistake, like going down 30-15 on the road to the best team in the league and trying to make a game out of it, except your defense can't do jack, that's an elite quarterback. Dwayne Haskins, if he went down 30-15 on the road, the final score would have been 44-15, and he would have been on the losing side, of course. I mean, that offense is just horrible. All right, their line is nowhere near as good as where it was because Trent Williams isn't there. Bill Callahan isn't there, which is really the most important part of that offensive line. For those of you guys that don't know, Callahan, you know, the coach that quoted, dumbest team in America, one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire league. Great offensive line coach. He pulled in freaking Eric Flowers from the Giants. Remember him? He pulled him in, retooled him, redeveloped him, and gave him and the Miami Dolphins ended up giving him a $50 million contract. All right, that's elite coaching. The Redskins just don't have that elite or even good offensive line anymore. McLaurin, I like him. He's a good player. He's fast, but he's one receiver. Antonio Gibson, I mean, I like him. He fumbled the ball, but he's a rookie. I mean, that team just has nothing on offense. There's no juice. There's no explosiveness. They're not fast. If they go down in the game, they're not coming back. I mean, they're like, fade them. Fade them. Pick up the defense that's playing against them, guys. I promise you won't be disappointed. I promise you. Okay? This is not a good team. I mean, their defensive line is really starting to take some injuries now. I think Kerrigan got hurt. I know Chase Young went out with an ankle, so that's going to hurt him. I mean, if the Redskins start piling up in injuries, you could just call the season off for them. But, I mean, my God, their offense is pathetic. They can't score versus the Browns. Come on. I mean, this team just ain't good. 30, I'm going to go with the Eagles. The Eagles are just... I don't even want to hear anything about the Eagles. They're so bad. I mean, they're just, like, overrated. They talk so loud. You asked a fan what their record would be, he'd probably say 13-3 before the season. Howie Roseman is about as overrated as GM it gets. They're not well built. I mean, they're old. I mean, this team is just... It seems like they're just doing whatever to get by because they feel like they're still celebrating that Super Bowl. That's the big problem. Okay, do they have talent? They have some. It's not sustainable, but they have some talent. And you'd like to think your quarterback is good, right? Truth is, you might want to call Frank Reich. But, I mean, that's the real problem with the Eagles culture is they're still living off that Super Bowl. They're still believing that they're Super Bowl champs and that they're hot crap. They're not. Eagles, you're not. All right, you tied with the Bengals. I mean, you tied with the Bengals. You tied. You were in a slugfest. You couldn't score one more point than them. You had to actually come back to get in the game. That's the sad part about it. You shouldn't have even tied the game. You should have lost. You barely got into overtime. Carson Wentz running around and just credit to him. He found the end zone, but I don't know how he did. But it's just so desperate. I mean, that team is like, I don't even want to talk about them anymore. Let's move on. I mean, but these guys aren't any worse. 31, the New York Jets. I mean, what a freaking joke, that franchise. I mean, I should have. My lock of the week, obviously it converted. If you guys have been following, we had the Bucks. I should have put the Broncos in the bottom 5. Yeah, we'll go Broncos. You know, Kayvon, I'll give you a break. All right, I'll give you a break. We'll go Falcons 27. We'll go with the Eagles at 28. We'll go with the Redskins at 29. We'll go with the Broncos at 30. The Broncos are just freaking, oh my God. I mean, I talked about how much of a joke they are. They honestly, after this game, just sell whatever you got, John Elway. Sell any player you got that a team might want, just get rid of them. Okay? It's not like you're going to the Super Bowl, so just get rid of them. Okay? I mean, the players know it too, so you don't worry, all right? They're not going to look at you crazy. I think they understand they're in a losing situation too. And when you get Trevor Lawrence, you could literally go to Trevor Lawrence and say, hey man, there's been 3 quarterbacks in the history of this franchise that have been Hall of Famers. Me, Peyton Manning, and you. Let's go do it. I mean, why not, right? There's only 3 quarterbacks and believe me, when you're a Hall of Fame quarterback for Denver, they're going to show a lot of love for you. That's a big sports town, Denver. I mean, so if you make a legacy there, they'll definitely love you. So if you're Trevor Lawrence, you might want to get your Bronco gear ready. But however, why don't we talk about the Jets? I mean, the Jets are just so pathetic. I should have bet everything I had on the Colts minus 11. I mean, it went against everything in my numerics and my analytics in terms of betting that I believe in, so that's why I didn't bet it. But I mean, Mike, you just like looking at the game, it's like they're so bad, and they're so bad. It's like it's beyond the players. It's the coaching. It's the preparation. It's the culture. I mean, Greg Williams, my God, tell that guy to shut up for once. I mean, Joe Douglas probably can't wait to get rid of him. Jesus Christ, there's not in one interview or one play where you're looking at him and like, oh, this guy's like calm as a cucumber. This guy's always screaming his head off. I mean, everything about this team just screams loser. But, I mean, there's not a more losing team. The biggest losers in the NFL, New York Giants. Hold on. I don't even want to call them Giants anymore. I'm not going to call them Giants. We're done. We're calling them midgets. Until the midgets win a game, I'll call you the Giants. But let's just don't call them Giants anymore. They stink. They're the worst team in the league. The Jets are better than the Giants. The Giants are so bad, they lost to the JV team. That's what happened. The San Francisco 49ers went in there with their junior varsity squad. Okay? They had Nick Mullins at quarterback. How are you sitting and Dave Gettleman, how are you sitting there in the booth? The guy that you picked 6 overall is getting outperformed by the undrafted kid. How do you feel? You must be looking at yourself, what the heck are we doing? What are you doing? Look at your 2019 draft, Dave Gettleman. Your quarterback stinks. The corner you drafted got cut because he had a robbery. And the other guy, Lawrence, is barely doing crap. All right? Maybe he's doing something, but it ain't enough to make an impact. All right? Look, you could blame Odell for the losing culture. I get it. That's a losing player. But, I mean, what you got in that trade, you could have done way more, and you haven't done anything. That roster is horrible. They're horrible. Okay? But then beyond the roster, how about just, you got flat out schooled. You didn't just get out coached. You got schooled. Schooled. The judge would have been fired before. If I was John Merritt, the judge would have been gone. I would have just promoted Jason Garrett. All right? You had Judge, you're just not ready, dude. You're not ready. Kyle Shanahan went in there with an undrafted quarterback, a running back who was injury prone as crap with another undrafted running back, an undrafted starting lineman, He had all his second team D linemen. Nick Bosa was out. DeForest Buckner's gone. D Ford is gone. All the backups are in that defensive line. Richard Sherman's not even playing at corner, and I think they're losing another corner too. So they were on their 3rd and 14 corner, and it's not even Liz. Like, it's not like the Giants, they tried and they came in. And, it was a close game. It was a 21-20 loss. No, you guys lost by 4 touchdowns. 4. The Vegas spread on the game was 4, and you lost by 4 touchdowns. The spread could have been -20. The 49ers would have covered it. That shows you're a horrible team, New York. You are horrible. And not only are you a horrible team, John Mara, you're a horrible owner with a horrible run organization. Okay, that organization is terribly run. Everything they do is severely flawed. I will bet my car, my house, my everything I got, my TV I'm looking at, my $200 pair of shoes I'm looking at, my laptop, my freaking PlayStation 4, everything I got, everything. I'll bet maybe even bet my life that I could run that organization better from my house. Their Giants are that bad. I could run the organization better and more adequate from my house. That team is pathetic. Every player, if you had any player, Darius Slayton, Saquon, if you guys picked up Devontae Freeman, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Guys, Saquon Barkley, okay, who's a really top 3 talent at running back, just a talent, top 3 by far. He couldn't even get 10 yards with that stinky offense. Jason Garrett is running an offense from the 90s, guys. He's running a 90s offense. He ran a stretch play. Like, this is what made me laugh. On one of the first plays of the game, okay, I'm drawing it up right now. This is how pathetic it is. He's trying to run a stretch play. First of all, the offensive linemen he has are so freaking slow. Oh my God. Those guys are like, one of them is Cam Fleming, who was a backup on our team who couldn't do crap. Some of the other guys are just, late round draft picks, and then they have the rookie in at left tackle who's just getting beat like a drum. Those guys are not agile at all. You need big, agile offensive linemen. Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. That's how the offense worked in Dallas. He's trying to run that same offense with the personnel is just not there. And he's not going to, and guys, he's not going to adjust. I'm telling you, Giant fans. I've seen Jason Garrett for 13 years. He's not adjusting. Okay, you either run his system or you're not. You're just sorry. You're going to the doghouse. Is what it is. So he tried to run a stretch play with those slow linemen and Devontae Freeman. I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me? When you watch the Giants, this is just, I can't believe it, man. How do these guys have jobs? They're horrible. That's why I say everything they do is a waste of time. Like, whatever Joe Judge is doing at practice, whatever Dave Gettleman's doing in terms of personnel, everything they're doing is just a waste of time. Just go home and go to sleep or something. Just spend time with the family, go fishing. There's still some good weather out on the East Coast, so you might as well live it out before it gets really cold, right? None of you guys, what are you guys doing? Are you sleeping? John Mary, you're probably sleeping. I don't know how you, there's some owners, I don't know how you sit there. Some of these GMs, my God. These guys should run for president. Their PR must be amazing. How do you sit in the owner's box with the owner? If you're Dave Gettleman, how do you sit there and explain what happened? I don't know. Maybe John Mara's just keeping it all in. He's not asking questions. But I don't know. How the heck do you sit there and watch that team and go, wow. We're not just flawed. This is not just a bad roster. This is not just a bad coaching staff. This is not just this is a poor ran organization, top to bottom. And it starts with the owner. That team is horrible, guys. Horrible. I spent over 5 minutes, but I'm trying to get, this is the lowest I've ever seen the New York Giants, the New York Midgets, excuse me. I'm not even calling, you know what you ought to do before you even make a personnel move or a coaching change or a quarterback change or anything? Just change your team name. Go to do what the Redskins did. Go become the football team. Become the New York football team. And until you guys start winning, then you can come back and call yourselves Giants. For right now, you're midgets. I'm not even calling that team Giants. Stop it. Let me just stop talking about them. They're so bad. I got to get a sip of water, guys. I mean, my God. So, listen, just to recap, I know I went on a tangent, but I couldn't believe the crap I saw. Number 1, Seahawks, 2 Steelers, 3 Chiefs, 4 Packers, 5 Ravens, and then bottom 5, 27, or we'll go bottom 6, right? 27 Atlanta, 28 is the Eagles, 29 the Redskins, 30 the Broncos, 31 the Jets, and 32 the New York Football Midgets. That's all I got on power rankings, guys. We're gonna take a break. I gotta regroup here, just because I'm sweating right now because I'm so hype. I'm moving around, trying to explain how bad the Giants are. I mean, look, some of you were probably sitting there. I live in Jersey, guys. For those of you who don't know, so for teams like the Jets and Giants, do I want to see them win the Super Bowl? No. But let's get them respectable at least, because the league is much better when those teams are respectable. Way better. I'm telling you, the league is awesome when New York sports are doing well, and it's just a freaking embarrassment. I'm literally embarrassed. You guys ask, oh, why are you rooting for the Cowboys? You live in Jersey. Because you think I'm going to root for this shit? Seriously. You think even though some of you, oh, but the Dallas Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl in 500 seasons. Yeah. The New York Giants have won 12 games in 4 seasons. Okay? They've won 12 games since the boat trip, guys. 12. That's 3 wins a year. Screw a Super Bowl. I wouldn't even want to watch that. I would quit watching football if I was a Giant fan. And a Jet fan? Give me a break. Let me get into a break, guys. I need a break. And then we'll get into studs and duds. I need to get some water. We'll be right back. Let's get into a commercial.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We are going to get into some real fantasy talk, get into the nitty-gritty, and hand out some awards. So give out some studs and duds this week, and we'll just jump right into it. Quarterbacks, look, number 1, I think Russell Wilson. I mean, that was pretty point-blank obvious. I mean, he threw some of the most prettiest deep balls I've ever seen. That one to Lockett was just right in the money. And then that second one at Metcalf, that was one of the most prettiest passes I've ever seen. Just a pure rainbow, man. Really. It was, Russell Wilson, at this point, look, we're 3 weeks in. If we had to decide an MVP, it'd be him. If we had to decide who'd win the championship, it'd probably be the Seahawks. I mean, this kid, I shouldn't even say kid, he's playing out of his mind. Okay, he is playing out of his mind. He's never played better before in his career. I've never seen him play better. And obviously, if you have him on your fantasy team, you start him every week. It's that simple. Number 2, I mean, Dak. Another great week for Dak. I mean, if you have Dak, you've got to start him every week. Okay? I don't know how else to go on about him. I mean, he did have the interception right before halftime that really killed him, and then the fumble coming out of the locker room, which really isn't his fault. But, I mean, those 2 turnovers really, really killed the team. And then, obviously, he had that last interception, which, I don't know, how can you rip him for that? Like, guys, there's 5 seconds on the clock. He's scrambling. You got 40 yards to go. Okay, you have to throw it up. You have to. Okay, there's no quarterback that's completing that, aside maybe Aaron Rodgers once every 5 years. All right, so I don't know what the heck you expect. But those 2 were just still outstanding. We gave them out as picks last week. Easy picks. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, great week for the bad man. I mean, he is just on a tear right now. His confidence looks so poised and immaculate that, I mean, he is just doing whatever he wants to defenses. He totally picked apart Janoris Jenkins. If you guys also, I mean, look, if you watch, or you should watch the Pat McAfee show, he was on today talking about how bad Janoris Jenkins is. Well, I mean, he didn't really say how bad he was, but he was basically breaking down how he picked on him every play, and especially in the clutch time where Janoris Jenkins, I mean, Janoris Jenkins, guys, I mean, I know he's not even a fantasy player, but he is one of the worst defensive backs I've ever seen play football. He is so bad, and him and Marcus Peters, they're just so bad, I can't even believe teams give these guys contracts. All right, Janoris Jenkins has no technique to his game whatsoever. None. Okay? His career, he went to Florida as like a big-time recruit during the Urban Meyer days there with Tebow and those cats. Obviously did well there, I mean, because the teams were so freaking stacked that it wasn't even fair. Then he went on, got picked by the Rams, did absolutely nothing there. Then got this big contract by the Giants. I mean, he was a number 2 corner on the Rams. I think the guy they had was Jermaine Johnson. As the number 1 guy. So he was covering their number 2 receivers. So he gets a big-ass contract from the Giants and has one good year because he's literally guessing on interceptions because the Giants' pass rush is so fierce. Then once the Giants' pass rush came down and he had to actually cover people, yeah, come on. I mean, he is sorry. He is so sorry. He's a disgrace to the NFL. That's how bad he is. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, the Saints really got to just cut him. Seriously, cut him and just go bring in somebody else, because every time they go up against an Aaron Rodgers or someone like that, they're literally just going to look for him and pick on him. Nobody's going to throw to Marshawn Lattimore. They're not stupid. They may take a couple shots at him, but they're not going to pick on him. They're going to pick on Jenkins. All right? I don't know. So, I mean, great job by Rodgers just breaking that down and breaking the Saints defense down like a freaking drum. And then number 4, Josh Allen. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you guys. He's impressed the heck out of me this year. We talked about the down the field accuracy issues with him. I'll tell you what, I mean, he's improved a lot. I give him a lot of credit. He's improved a lot. He's looked sharp this year. Obviously went up 28-3, almost blew that game, but I'll tell you what, give him credit. That one last drive when you need it, you need your quarterback, he did it. First, we talked about the stat last week, how he was the first quarterback in Bills history, the entire history of the Buffalo Bills, to have 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Nope, Jim Kelly did not do that, so that is a pretty remarkable record for Allen. And tell you what, man, this kid is a little bit better than we thought. So I'm going to have to say this might be a must start every week. Josh Allen might be a must start every week. I don't know if I'd ever say that, but I mean, this kid is playing out of his mind. Let's get into some duds at the quarterback. Number 1, Matty Ice. I mean, listen, if Kayvon heard that, he's going to tell me that they had no receivers. I mean, at the end of the day, dude, you needed one more touchdown to win that game, and he didn't get it. I mean, that was just embarrassing. I'm not even going to talk about the Falcons. Gardner Minshew, I mean, this guy is not a starting quarterback. I mean, this guy is not a starting quarterback. All right, as all these Minshew mania. I know Mike Leach is hyping him up. I mean, look, guys, the guy is like 5'11", and he's not even athletic or fast one bit. So once the Dolphins I mean, the Dolphins figured out how to play him in the second, third quarter and just kept doing it over and over again. Just blitz his ass up the middle. That's all they were doing. Just send 2 up the middle. Did you see that? I mean, did you see the throw? I mean, this is 4 days ago, so you guys probably don't remember. But did you remember that throw that he missed late in the third quarter to a wide open, I don't know who it was, but I mean, this guy was wide open in the end zone. Gardner got blitzed up the middle. I could have made the throw. He was so open. There was no safety up top, and he missed him. I mean, that just sums up that Gardner's not a quarterback, and definitely not a fantasy quarterback. And then my last suck, the New York quarterbacks. They're the worst quarterbacks ever. I mean, Daniel Jones is a joke. I mean, how do you pick a guy, Daniel Jones, 6 overall, and then Sam Darnold, 3 overall? I mean, those guys are jokes. Let's move on to receivers. Receiver of the week, by far, Tyler Lockett. I mean, I said this last podcast, always has the Cowboys' number. The Cowboys just cannot guard him. I don't know what it is about him. They just can't guard him. And he always has their number. And that was just a really embarrassing performance in terms of the Cowboys' secondary. He was just getting open on deep passing routes, getting crossing routes where he gets wide open. I mean, it was just embarrassing. He literally did whatever he wanted to that Cowboys secondary. Justin Jefferson, really impressive week for him. The first-round draft pick out of Minnesota. He drafted out of LSU for Minnesota. I mean, really impressive performance by him. That one long ball that he had from Cousins was really pretty. Probably, I mean, that got him a lot of his points. So we don't know. We'll see if that's a fluke, but this could be the start of the breakout for Justin Jefferson. We don't know. I think this kid is definitely headed up the right way. Definitely a player we'll talk about next segment in the waiver pickups, and a player he's heading the right trajectory. He's heading up the right way. Cedric Wilson, and like you guys, who? Remember that guy, number 11 on the Cowboys? He caught those 2 touchdowns, ran it in. Great performance by him. I'm going to tell you guys right now, save you the breath. He's not a fantasy player. Okay, the reason he got those touchdowns, if you watch the All-22, the first one, the Seahawks were so stupid, they put KJ Wright on him. Okay, they put a 30-year-old linebacker on a receiver. That's just a joke. I mean, you can't expect that. I mean, once Dak saw that, he got the ball to him immediately. And then the second time they had what's his name on him. It was basically a zone coverage, but they picked it up horrible, and he broke free again. I mean, listen, when CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper are on the same team as you, I mean, there's probably a chance that you're not going to get a lot of targets, but you're going to get the worst defender on the field on you. So that means opportunity. Michael Gallup, outstanding game for him. He was one of the players I predicted to have a breakout game. Just a great player. Overall, great receiver. He does everything you want. He's a red zone threat. He goes up for the ball. He runs his routes well. He has a good connection with Dak. I mean, I love this player so much. And if you have him, you're definitely a player that you just want to add to your fantasy team and start based on good matchups. And then finally, Allen Lazard. I mean, great game for him. Finally broke out. Again, he was on Jenkins, so I don't know how great he's going to be. Is he a waiver wire pickup? Probably. If he's not there on your team already, I'd probably have him. Especially if you have Devontae Adams on your team, you need to pick him up immediately. I said that way before the draft, that you need to... Injury-prone players, you should probably pick up their backups, like Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook. This is the examples for Devontae Adams. Let's go into some duds. Odell. I mean, Odell's a joke. I'm not even going to talk about him. T.Y. Hilton. Really was expecting him to come on strong this week versus the Jets. Didn't really happen just due to the fact that the Colts didn't have to do much in the passing game to beat the Jets. All you got to do is basically show up and run them over and win the game by 30. That's how piss poor the Jets are. Let's see. Moving on. Darius Slayton. I mean, I thought he was blah. I mean, again, he's a giant receiver. I don't know what else you expect. Russell Gage, another player that I thought was going to have a big time week, but I'll give him a break because he did get hurt, and that's the reason his point production wasn't up. Let's go running backs. Kamara, outstanding week for Kamara. That one long play he had, I mean, he is just a total receiving threat. I mean, he is, for PPR, he is everything you want in a running back. I mean, he is a better receiver than running back. For PPR, I mean, he would have been my top 3 pick in a standard league, which the money league that I'm in. He was more like he was picked at 7. I mean, he's still good in any league. Don't get me wrong, guys. But, I mean, PPR, he is just unbelievable. He's literally a receiver playing running back who's going to get touches on the ground, and he's going to get touches receiving. I mean, he's going to get everything you want, all right? Everything you want. Rex Burkhead. I mean, my God, does this guy go away? I mean, Belichick keeps bringing this guy back. I mean, how does he keep producing? Like, this is like, I don't know how this guy keeps producing. I mean, no way am I picking him up in fantasy, but hats off to him. Really good week. James Robinson, we talked to him a little bit about him earlier. Really impressive performance by James Robinson. I mean, he's just a hard effort player. I mean, he was getting those dunk offs by Minshew and just really trying to make the most of it. I mean, I like the kid a lot. I think there's a lot of upside. I should have been on him earlier in the season for a waiver wire pickup, because if that happened, then your team would have been stacked. But unfortunately, I just gave up on Jacksonville players. I don't know if this is going to continue for Jacksonville. I mean, they're hanging in there strong. I think Doug Marrone's really trying his best to save his job so he can maybe try to coach. I don't even know if they're going to get Trevor Lawrence. They're starting to win games remotely, so who knows? But, I mean, Robinson, good player. Dalvin Cook, finally a really good game for him. He had a breakout touchdown on that long one. A good player, good game for him. Running backs that were awful. Zeke, once the Cowboys got behind, they just abolished Zeke and went right to the pass game, aired it out. David Montgomery, I expected a lot more from him. Even with Tariq Cohen went down, didn't get it at all, wasn't impressed. And then Joe Mixon. I mean, the guys, I've said this before, a lot of you people, I'm ready to trade Joe Mixon. I'm ready to just sell him for a bag of chips. Guys, the reason Joe Mixon is not performing is, number one, this is the only reason. Zach Taylor stinks. He is horrible. He's the worst play caller in the league. He has no idea what he's doing. All right, I talked about this before. He would be better off calling a high school game. Okay, he's literally calling plays that Sean McVay showed him on the chalkboard, and just he's like with no rhythm. There's no plan. It's just calling plays like it's Madden. Like, this is not Madden. This is not Madden. This is chess on grass. That's what it is. It's literally chess on grass, and Zach Taylor doesn't understand that. He's just calling plays. I told you he has no idea what he's doing when he tried to ask his rookie quarterback to throw the ball 61 times. 61 times thinking he was going to win the game. Okay, he doesn't get Mixon involved in the passing game. I don't know why he didn't. You just paid the freaking guy. He's good in the passing game. He doesn't get him involved. He doesn't get him involved during the red zone where you're supposed to score with your running back, right? Goal line touches. What happens, Zach Taylor? He doesn't get it, guys. All right. Does that mean you trade Mixon? Look, with the value you're getting for him right now, it's not worth it. Who are you going to trade him for, honestly? Who are you going to trade him for? Nobody's going to give you a good running back for him. So hold on to him. Ride it out. Maybe Zach Taylor. Who knows? I mean, that team and is just so sorry. I feel bad for Joe Burrow. He's going to get killed. And then tight ends, we'll wrap this up before we get into a break. Joe New. I mean, I love Joe New. You guys know that. He was number one sleeper in tight ends. He's just been having the year that I expected. Outstanding player. Mo Alley-Cox. He's an interesting player for the Colts. He's been getting a lot of targets recently for them, been getting in the end zone. Phillip Rivers seems to really like him, so good week for him. Duds, Darren Waller. I know a lot of you Darren Waller owners were really mad. I mean, listen, this is classic Bill Belichick, okay? If you're going to play Bill Belichick, he's going to take away your number one weapon on offense. He's going to take him away. He's not going to let you beat him with your number one weapon. He doesn't. That's like classic Bill Belichick. So what did he do? He's going to double Waller. He's going to... No wonder Waller was an open O-Day. He's got two guys on him. He had a linebacker right there and a safety over the top in case he caught it so he could get popped. He's not stupid. Come on, guys. I should have saw that coming, though. I really should have saw that coming. Hayden Hurst, I mean, I was a little bit higher on him in the preseason. I don't know, man. It doesn't look like it's there for him. He's just like a big athletic dude, and that's about it. And then Mike Gesicki was pretty disappointed with him. He had the one touchdown, but I expected more. I really expected him to just dominate the Dolphins. But listen, guys, that's all I got for Studs and Duds. Let's take a break, and then we're going to wrap up the show with some waiver wire pickups, so hopefully we can retool your roster, get you ready for next week. Coming right up.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Final segment here. I'd like to do a little quick 10 minutes, give you guys some waiver wire pickups for the week to help you retool your roster a little bit, fill out some spaces on the bench. Let's dive right into it. Quarterbacks, pretty bland, guys. You should have your ace quarterback. I've explained you that in the draft process, how you need to get an ace quarterback. And it doesn't have to be in the first, second, third, or fourth round. Like me, I got Kyler Murray in the 7th round. Call me lucky, but that was an ace quarterback. Matty Ice could have been there. Dak. There's a handful of guys. Even Josh Allen. Yeah, Josh Allen could have been your ace quarterback, guys. You needed to grab an ace so you're not dealing with this problem that, I don't have a quarterback. Because, look, it might be easy to replace one just based off matchups. I tried that game before. It's probably not going to win you a championship. Probably not. So I'd suggest you get an ace or maybe trade for one if you haven't, because the options aren't good. I got Nick Foles, but, guys, come on. Nick Foles is like the relief pitcher. He's the Mariano Rivera, okay? He's not a starter. He's not a long-term answer at all. And then Nick Mullins. But it's like he played the Giants. I don't know about him. I don't know. He looked good, but it's the Giants, okay? How many touchdowns do you think I'm going to throw versus the Giants? I could throw a touchdown versus the Giants. I'm pretty sure I could throw one. I'm pretty sure I could throw for 200 yards as well. All right, I'm about 6'3". My arm strength might not be as good as his, but I'll tell you what. Versus that defense, I could sit in the pocket all day. I know that. I could. If Leonard Williams comes chasing me, I could just jog right away from him. I don't even got to run. Their linebackers are slow, so I don't got to worry about them. Their secondary, they can't cover, so maybe I'll just get the ball out quick. Emmet Wyman waiver wire pickup week 4. But the point is, guys, there's no quarterbacks out there. Running backs, Jeff Wilson. Who? Yeah, Jeff Wilson, who, if we were to do the show in August 20th, Jeff Wilson would have been the 49ers' 4th team running back. So that it kind of shows to you how remote the running back market is, guys. It's you should have had your running backs already. That's why I stack your running backs and stack the bench with running backs, because ain't no options on the waiver wire for running backs. Good options. Jeff Wilson. Jerick McKinnon was out with the rib contusion, I think. Tavon Coleman's going to be out for the year, so you don't have to worry about him. Mostert, they're saying he might play again this week, coming off a knee injury. So, look, he might be a good pickup, but if those guys are healthy, then he's useless. So it's whatever. Brian Hill from the Falcons, I got to talk to Kayvon about him, but, they were giving him a lot of touches just because I think they understand Gurley's burnt. We've been saying this all along, guys. Gurley's burnt toast. He's slow. He has no explosiveness. When they need him most, he's useless. They tried to rely on him to put that stupid game away versus the Bears. He couldn't do it. Gurley's he's burnt toast. That's the only reason this guy's doing well. And then he dropped 2 or 3 passes in the receiving game. So I don't know what to make of this guy. I mean, to be honest, he's better than the other options, but that's the only reason I'd put him here. Rex Burkhead, I mean, who's going to pick him up, right? But that's just waivers. We're going off what these guys did last week. I mean, honestly, Rex Burkhead, I should just cross him off. Don't pick him up, guys. Actually, pick this guy up, though. Pick up Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde's a horrible player, but he's going to get the number one opportunity in Seattle. I don't know if you guys went on Twitter. You saw they call it the Gator roll tackle by Tristan Hill. Was it a dirty play? Look, I don't know what his intentions were. It looked dirty, but this is also football. Okay, it's not NBA, so a dirty play is kind of regular. I mean, this game is based off violence, guys. So shit like that, stuff like that is normal. But I mean, I don't know if I'd expect a monster day out of Hyde, 100 yards, a touchdown, but he's going to get a lot of opportunities with Chris Carson's sideline. I mean, they're saying he might play this week. That's the thing. I don't know. But, I mean, just looking at that play, I mean, I don't think he's going to play this week. I mean, he'll probably play 2 weeks from now. He'll definitely be back. I think next week he'll be back. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just going off that. I mean, his knee looked pretty bad on that play. Let's get into some receivers. Justin Jefferson, I mean, he is... there's no way he's out there if you're in a 12-team or up. There's just no way if he's out there. If he is, then you need to run to the waiver wire immediately. But if he's there, you have to pick him up. He's the number one pickup probably out of everybody on this entire list. Cedric Wilson, I have him here, but guys, don't pick him up. I mean, I put him on here just due to the fact that he had a great game last week. But this is where you have to decipher between, are these guys going to continue or are they one-hit wonders? We talked about the one-hit wonders. I'm going to tell you right now. Foles is a one-hit wonder. Mullins is a one-hit wonder. Burkhead's a one-hit wonder. And then you could put Cedric Wilson in the one-hit wonder category as well. Alan Lazard, he's another one. I think you have to pick him up if you don't have him already. We talked about him last segment. If you have Devontae Adams, pick him up immediately. Don't be silly. And then this last guy I'm actually really intrigued about, and that's T. Higgins from the Bengals. Had 2 touchdowns on the game on Sunday. I mean, he was really, really impressive just from a physical standpoint. There's a chance he really starts to build a rapport with Joe Burrow, just due to the fact that they're both young guns. They're both going to be there for the next 3-4 years together. So I think Joe, he might say, hey, why don't I just start throwing the ball? Let's see what we got with this kid. And then if I like him, I'm going to just keep going to him. So he's a high upside pickup off waivers. It's not really based off like a good matchup this week or anything. And then tight ends to wrap up, guys. Foster Moreau, I put him down because he scored a touchdown. He only got 2 targets, though. I don't know what I like him a lot as a player, but I just don't know what his target share is going to be going forward. I mean, because, look, they still have, Darren Waller's the number 1, and they still have Jason Witten. I mean, he is, the fact that they're trying to put Jason Witten over him actually makes me believe that you shouldn't pick him up. And then my final pickup, Dalton Schultz. Pick this guy up, guys, all right? Cowboys tight end. I know you're rolling your eyes coming from me, but I'm telling you right now, this guy knows how to work the underneath game. He's not going to give you 10 points a week, but he's a very, very solid tight end too. He's going to get targets. Okay, he's going to be, because he gets a lot of snaps a game. I mean, he's the number 1 tight end for the Cowboys, so he's going to get a lot of snaps with the high-octane offense. So, I mean, that's a guy you want to bet on. Always bet on a guy who's going to get a lot of snaps in a high-octane offense. That's why J.K. Dobbins, I didn't start him at all yet this year, but I have a feeling down the stretch I'm going to start him a lot because he's in a high-octane offense getting a lot of snaps. So, I mean, guys, that's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I had, all the football I could breathe today. I'm drenched in freaking humidity and sweat here, just rambling on and on about how bad some of these teams are. But hopefully I helped your team today. That's all that matters, guys. I mean, hopefully you like my information. Hopefully you like my takes. I try to be very opinionated, honest. I don't care what people think. I don't care what Skip Bayless thinks. I don't care what Field Yates thinks. I don't care what Stephanie Dr. Bell thinks. I mean, none of their opinions matter to me. I just tell it like it is, and I don't really care if I hurt feelings doing so. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you listened. Please follow the social media if you haven't already. Please follow the social media. GSMC_F football. Guys, you have to follow that, okay? There's going to be a lot of good content that I'm uploading to that page. You have to follow that. I will keep you in tune. Follow GSMC_football as well for all your other football-related news. Listen, guys, big thank you to the GSMC Podcast Network for hosting this show. Shout out Sarah, shout out Tate, out there getting the job done, being busy as heck probably, trying to get all these podcasts that are flying around like crazy on that network. But, I mean, that's just big props to them for putting in the time, getting these episodes out, and letting us do our thing. So, shout out to everybody out there on the West Coast. And we'll see you guys next Saturday with some big-time predictions for Week 4. Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.